So this is some photos from my friend Chet, who goes to Peru frequently, and there's a lot of photos in here that will help you with various projects. So this is about Peru. Of course, the Inca Empire at its height extended far beyond the borders of Peru, but that's one of the slide choices, so I won't ruin it for you. You can look in any history book. Here is a close-up of the country of Peru. This is Cuzco, the capital city. The altitude is 12,000 feet, so it's really high up. Here is the major church in Cusco. Here you see the outside. You see some traditional dress down there at the bottom. And here's a woman in traditional dress. And my friend Chet said that not everybody dresses like this, but at the same time, it's not unusual to see people dressed like this. And Cusco is a really big city, so there's people dressed in modern wear and also people with their, llama or their alpaca and babies uh, going around in their traditional dress. I thought that was pretty interesting and exciting. So in Cusco, there's this stone, a little about the Inca stone from the last video, where they were such amazing masons. And this stone here has 12 cuts in it. If you count it, you'll see that they had to make 12 cuts to make the other stones fit into this wall perfectly. And when the Spanish came and overcame the Incans, they basically burnt Cusco to the ground and then rebuilt their buildings, their cathedrals, their churches on top of the ruins of the Inca buildings. And still today, many buildings use as their foundations this Inca stonework, which again was cut and put together so perfectly that you can really see here how a playing card couldn't even be inserted between the cuts. There's absolutely no mortar here. It's all just stone on stone. So here's some various shots of that stonework, and here you can see some people gathered down so you get sort of a sense of scale. And here is some of that stonework on a modern sort of little grocery store in Cusco. And these are a few photographs of dance, and you see some musical instruments, and there's both men and women and their pets. There's a dog in the dance taking part. That's one of the options you have. And here's some contemporary musicians with their cymbals. This is the Sacred Valley. It's one of the options for research as well. Some photographs of the Sacred Valley of the Inca. It's still used today for agriculture. This is a market that's nearby, people selling goods on the streets. Again, some people wear more contemporary clothing. Some people wear what looks to us like very traditional clothing with the hats and, colored sweaters. At altitude, it can be pretty chilly. So again, people selling goods. These are some guinea pigs, and I did not offer this as a project because guinea pigs in Peru are used as food. And so here is a picture of a barbecued guinea pig that my friend Chet actually did experience. So no, not a project. Can't barbecue your little brother's guinea pig as a project, hands-on project for this, but I thought you might enjoy learning about this food. We cook cows here, no problem. Right on the barbecue there, it's guinea pigs. All right, so this place is one of your options. Ollantaytambo, my probably sort of jilted pronunciation, village in the Sacred Valley of Peru. And it's known for the ruins, a massive Inca fortress with very large stone terraces on a hillside. The village's old town is an Inca era, that means built during the time of the Inca, grid of cobblestone streets and adobe buildings. And there's a few pictures of it here. You can see the terraces here. These are out of stone. You can't see the parts that are growing because of the angle. Here is part of that fortress that dates back to Inca times. You can see the stonework going up the mountainside here. You can see how steep these cliffs are. Here is a picture of a contemporary potter. He's making pottery in the traditional style. There's no wheel Chet say it's all with coils and then water and making pots out of, making sort of a long rope of the pottery, coiling it up and forming your pottery from that. And you can see a finished pot here. And here is his showroom. So he is making it in the traditional Inca style again, although there are, many other contemporary artists doing different things with pottery today as well. Here's a street. This is interesting. Notice that there's this lower part section in the street, and that's to handle the runoff or potentially even sewer. This is a very, very old part of the city. This would have dated back to Inca times. This stonework here and the walkway as well. This would be newer structures here, the upper part, the stucco part. So here you see some water running down, and you see a little bridge into, this is a doorway here. So this is uh, sorts of building processes you also would see in Pompeii, which is an ancient city in Italy. So those same techniques to move water were used in many ancient cultures. So here's a woman selling some street food. Here's a woman in traditional dress. And Chet, my friend, said that in the villages far away from the cities, in the small villages that are really high up, high altitude, people typically dress in traditional styles like this. This is their everyday wear, including the hat today. There'll be some more pictures. So this is a building that you might see, and here you see someone in what we might consider more contemporary wear that you might see here in the United States, and here a little bit more unusual. You might see this in Santa Cruz, but not probably in San Francisco. Um, Different sorts of apparel. So Paracancha, so people, another place, Hyatt Village, people live much as they have for centuries, weaving, farming, and raising animals. It's a traditional Quechua community about an hour's drive above this Inca, what was this Inca um, uh, village, city. It's all on a dirt road. And here again, you see some women, and these women are creating fabric, the textile. And they make their living by creating these fabrics. There's that whole video I really encourage you to watch. It tells you more about llamas, about textile making. It's 7 minutes. It's really interesting. And here it is in some photos for you. Again, you won't find this on the internet because these are Chet's pictures when he went to this really remote village to visit and learn about these people. They're all wearing different textiles that they actually had created themselves. There's a little girl, more little girls, another cute little girl. And this hat, again, probably made out of some kind of alpaca wool here because, again, a little bit chilly when you get up to altitude. Little boy. And here's, he took a picture of his bus, not his bus, but a crash. He was taking a bus to Lake Titicaca, and they had to get out of the bus when there was this accident. And he said on the bus, Jesus is his co-pilot. Kind of funny. Hopefully they made it, so obviously it did well. Here's a church and a woman in traditional dress. And this is actually an ancient Incan storehouse. This was an area that the Inca would trade from, and they had these. Chet said these are just enormous. You can see a Incan wall here, an Inca storehouse, and this roofing material would have been redone because it would rot over time. But the stonework has lasted that long. Here's a woman again in traditional dress looking at some pottery in a market. And here he's going to a new place. Again, pretty tall, not as tall as the others, about a little over 4,000 feet. Gives you a view of what it looks like. You can see the snow in the mountains here. So this is the village of Puno, or the city of Puno, close to Lake Titicaca. One, he says, we saw this in the last video, of South America's largest lakes and the world's highest navigable body of water. That means you can sail or boat or have power boats on it. And it's said to be the birthplace of the Incas, Lake Titicaca. The elevation is 12,500 feet. It is very, very high. Again, you saw all this information. Here's a picture of Lake Titicaca, and these are some traditional reed structures. And so here you see a traditional reed boat. and structures all made out of reeds. This is actually called Isla Euros, or Euros Island. They're literally layers and layers of totora reeds that are woven together. As they rot from the bottom, the water, new layers are added, and the reeds are also used to build their houses and boats. Here's some of the reeds. We have tule reeds here in the Santa Cruz area, and in and around the Santa Cruz area, and there's a lot at Neary Lagoon, and there's also reeds growing in the wastewater treatment plant right at SLV. They have the settling pools, and the reeds grow there. Howard mentioned that in the earlier video that he talked to you about the Aztec floating gardens. So here's some more of the reeds, and you get a sense of what they look like when they decompose. This is what they might look like underwater. Here is the island, you can see, and some structures here as well, and a boat as well. More structures. Again, housing. And people do live in here. You can see the cooking apparatus outside this structure. Here's one of the reed boats, and a close-up of the reed boat with a, you can see it's how large it is. Here's a person. So this is a very large boat we're talking. Yes, they do use them. You know, mostly it's for tourists, but also people live on them. And here's a whole bunch of the houses. Another view. You can see some more contemporary boats here as well. This is an interesting structure. I'm not totally sure what that is. You can see more of the boats here. And of course, they also have contemporary power boats as well in the marina. Here's a more far away view of Lake Titicaca with an original Inca road here, bordered by the walls, and a woman peeking into a restaurant in traditional dress. And this is how Chet got back to the airport in this cool contraption here, sort of a whole taxi cab built on a motorcycle chassis. Wow, pretty exciting. So anyway, hope you enjoy that, especially that barbecue. Everyone loves a good barbecue. If you're vegetarian, it could be zucchini. If you're in Peru, it might be a guinea pig.